Bukayo Saka allegedly spat at Anthony Gordon during a training ground confrontation in Kansas City, 3 days before England's World Cup opener against Serbia. It wasn't just any argument. It wasn't a misunderstanding between teammates. It wasn't the press exaggerating a minor scuffle. This is serious. Nothing like this has ever been seen days before a World Cup opener. And there's a detail the FA still hasn't confirmed publicly. A member of the training staff allegedly recorded the entire incident on a phone for internal review, and that footage clearly shows the spitting gesture, according to sources close to the squad. And the worst hasn't even come to light yet. Over the next few minutes, you'll understand exactly what happened and why this changes everything for England at the World Cup. When this happens, days before a World Cup, it's not just any problem. This is about dressing room unity, about Thomas Tuchel's authority, about whether England can even function as a team when they step onto the pitch at Sophie Stadium on June 11th. Bukayo Saka and Anthony Gordon aren't just squad players fighting for minutes. They represent two competing visions of what this England team should be. And the tension between reputation and form, loyalty and meritocracy, has just exploded in the most public way imaginable. And the behind the scenes of this is worse than it looks. It all started on the auxiliary training pitch at Children's Mercy Park, Kansas City, late afternoon, June 8th. Around 15 players and 4 coaching staff were present during what should have been a routine drinks break. Anthony Gordon had just completed a sprint drill on the left touchline, the kind of high-intensity work Thomas Tuchel demands from his wide players. That's when Bukayo Saka approached him, gesturing emphatically, his body language unmistakable even from a distance. Words were exchanged, too low for most to hear, but everyone could see the tension radiating between them. Declan Rice stepped between them immediately, hand on Saka's chest, trying to defuse the situation before it escalated further. But what came next, nobody saw coming. As Anthony Gordon turned to walk away, Bukayo Saka allegedly spat in his direction, the saliva landing near Gordon's feet. A stunned silence followed. Players froze mid-conversation. Assistant coach Anthony Barry immediately called both players aside, his face reportedly tight with anger. Thomas Tuchel, who had been reviewing footage with analysts inside the facility, arrived moments later, and sources say his face was drained of color when he understood what had just happened. This wasn't a heated exchange that could be laughed off later. This crossed the line. Now, to understand why this is so serious, you need to know what came before. The thing is, this didn't start yesterday. The tension had been building since England's pre-tournament friendlies, when Anthony Gordon started on the left against Bosnia and Herzegovina and delivered a man-of-the-match performance with 2 assists. Bukayo Saka, who had played more than 50 matches for Arsenal that season, was reportedly told by Thomas Tuchel that squad rotation would be necessary to manage fatigue. Gordon's camp allegedly interpreted this as an opening, a signal that the established hierarchy under Gareth Southgate no longer applied. Meanwhile, Saka's representatives had been in contact with the FA, emphasizing his seniority and track record across 3 major tournaments. The shift from Southgate's loyalty-based selections to Tuchel's meritocratic approach created uncertainty, and dressing room factions quietly formed. On one side, Bukayo Saka's supporters argue he's earned his place through consistency, that he carried Arsenal to back-to-back title challenges, that dropping him risks unsettling the entire squad hierarchy. Declan Rice and other Arsenal players reportedly rallied around Saka immediately after the incident, viewing it as a heat-of-the-moment lapse from a player under immense pressure. On the other side, Anthony Gordon's backers insist that form should dictate selection, not reputation. Gordon's directness and defensive work rate suit Tuchel's pressing system better, they argue, and rewarding loyalty over performance sends the wrong message to younger players fighting for spots. Newcastle players and some of the younger squad members allegedly sympathized with Gordon, seeing the incident as evidence of entitled behavior from established stars. And in the middle, players like Harry Kane are caught between loyalty to teammates and the need to maintain unity, privately frustrated by the distraction but publicly urging the squad to move forward. And hold on, because the most controversial detail I've saved for the end. Strong rumors point to WhatsApp messages between senior players discussing the fallout, messages that have reportedly been shared beyond the intended group. If those leak, they could reveal which stars privately support benching Saka, and that would turn this from a two-player issue into a full-blown dressing room civil war. Social media exploded within hours of the leak. Reaction videos flooded every platform, with Saka's supporters citing his Euro 2020 penalty heartbreak and redemption arc, while Gordon's backers pointed to his fearless performances and suggested the old guard is afraid of competition. The press seized on the story immediately. Tabloids ran headlines about three lions tearing each other apart, and respected journalists noted that similar incidents derailed previous tournament campaigns. Thomas Tuchel held a closed-door meeting with both players separately, then together, but sources say he's reluctant to impose swift discipline this close to the opener, fearing it could fracture squad chemistry even further. The FA is monitoring closely. One source described the situation as precisely the kind of distraction we cannot afford, with concerns about England's image in a tournament co-hosted by the United States raised internally. And that's where it gets even more serious, because the clock is ticking. Thomas Tuchel has less than 48 hours to decide whether to discipline Bukayo Saka, rotate him out of the starting 11, or publicly back him and risk Anthony Gordon's morale collapsing. The FIFA deadline for injury replacements has passed, meaning any roster change now would leave England a player short. England face Serbia on June 11th at SoFi Stadium, Los Angeles, and qualification from Group C is far from guaranteed. If Saka starts, every camera will be on his interactions with Gordon. If he's benched, the narrative becomes, has Tuchel lost the dressing room before the tournament even began? England's tactical identity, built around width and pace, hangs in the balance. Now, Thomas Tuchel is caught between two bad decisions. If he starts Bukayo Saka against Serbia, he risks alienating Anthony Gordon and appearing to reward indiscipline, undermining the meritocratic philosophy he's built his entire managerial reputation on. But if he benches Saka or sends him home, he loses one of England's most experienced attackers, creates a media firestorm that will dominate every pre-match press conference, and potentially fractures the Arsenal contingent that forms the squad's core. Either choice sets a precedent he may regret for the rest of the tournament. This is the kind of moment that defines campaigns. You, as a fan, know what this means. England have imploded over less in the past, and with the world watching, with Serbia waiting, with every match a must-win, this is the last distraction Thomas Tuchel needed. And look, this is far from over. This is the information going around so far, but over the next few hours, new details should drip out, and they could turn this whole story upside down. Over to you. Should Thomas Tuchel start Bukayo Saka against Serbia despite the spitting incident, or does Anthony Gordon deserve the left-wing spot based on form and attitude? Write it down below. And if you don't want to find out about the next bombshell after everyone else, subscribe and turn on notifications now, because when this fully blows up, You'll want to be the first to know, not the last.